And this word appears 3 times in Luke's Gospel. Oh, how foolish you are. The stranger, you've got your nerve. The stranger says, oh, how foolish you are. Don't you know that the Messiah had to suffer these things? Don't you know? And these 2 are dumbstruck, I'm sure. Because this person begins to talk to them and begins to tell them all sorts of things that they somehow never thought of before. With all the time that they'd spent with Jesus, somehow they never absorbed them or recognized them or remembered them in their heart of hearts. They never understood until this moment what it was all about. They were so excited by their companion that they invited him to stay with them for the evening. And Luke tells us when they sat down at table together, he took bread and he broke it and he blessed it. Now they saw Jesus do this a lot. They saw Jesus do this in fellowship with a lot of people. He took bread and he broke it and he blessed it. It was what people did. But for some reason, in this moment of fellowship with them, when he took this bread and he broke this bread and he blessed this bread and gave it to each of them, suddenly their eyes were open and they recognized it. The significance of the symbol is the cause for remembrance. And remembrance is faith. In that moment, their lives are completely renewed. They are lifted up again. And they run like the wind to Jerusalem to tell the other disciples what they've seen. Are any of you actors or actresses? Any of you directors? This is like a stage drama, this story, this wonderful amazing story, just like a stage drama. I'm a director, and the steps in becoming a director are you have to choose the play that you're going to do. When you choose the play that you're going to do, you study it, you get to know the characters, and you decide how it is you're going to tell the story, what the story is going to mean, how you're going to put it across to the audience. That means you know the characters well enough, you know that when those actors stand up in front of you to audition, hopefully you're going to find the one that's going to fit that part. But if you don't, you're going to have to teach them how to fit the part. You're going to have to teach them to be an actor. A director in small community theater has to do everything. We're not just directors, but we're set builders, and we're lighting directors, and we get the costumes. We're the producers of the show as well. One of the most important steps that a director takes after they cast the show is they do something called blocking. That means you gather all of your actors together and you show them how to hit their marks in a particular scene. You say, okay, Harry, you're going to walk from the cell phone over here to the door over here when you say this line. And Ethel, you're going to be sitting over here on the couch and you're going to be smoking a cigarette. You can't light it though. You're going to be smoking a cigarette. You can't smoke on stage anymore. So you're going to be smoking a cigarette and drinking a cocktail. When the phone rings, you're going to get up and you're going to go answer. Blocking. Stage left, stage right. This is where you go. Stage left, stage right. This is where you go. This is how you exit. This is how you enter. Actors go out and memorize their lines. There are some actors who are so diligent that they've actually got their lines memorized before they even block the show. Doesn't and they have to be taught to get beyond that. But part of the movement around is what helps remember where you are, and remember your lines, and remember the purpose of what you're saying, and remember the context. As an actor, that was very necessary to me. As an actor, the way I memorized lines was I fed the lines of every single character in the play into a tape recorder. I played all of the characters, and I put all of their speeches in, and all of the cue lines for me, and then I talked with the tape recorder, driving back and forth to work every day, learning my speeches, learning my lines. It meant everything to take those lines and put them in the context of the place, in the context of the scene, and remember them in the context of the scene. That's where you know where you are in the story. Luke is telling us in his story that these two disciples remember who they are, remember where they are, recognize who they are, recognize the Christ in their life in this remembrance scene, in this familiar scene of bread, breaking of bread. The offering to all of us is that these symbols invite us to recognize the Christ every time we break bread with someone. Every time we break bread together. Every time we are in the company of one another. Recognition of the Christ in us. Recognition of how the Christ is working in us. And I said in my title, my sermon title was that that's the cure for heartburn. When the two disciples said, "Weren't our hearts burning within us as he opened the scriptures to us?" The cure for heartburn, the cure for that burning, longing, is to break bread and recognize the Christ in each of us.